Stop scrolling for a moment, because from this point forward, your relationship with money will never be the same. You are about to activate the words that reshape identity, unlock prosperity, and command abundance to flow toward you with certainty. In the next few minutes, you will step into a new financial reality. These affirmations are not empty words. They are creative power, forming wealth, opportunity, and blessings the moment they are felt as true. Speak them with conviction. Let them saturate your mind and watch your world transform. Prosperity begins in the unseen realm long before it reaches your bank account or physical reality. When you declare, "I am the source of abundance," you shift from believing that wealth is something external, unpredictable, or given only to the fortunate, to recognizing that it flows from your own consciousness. This single shift transforms you from someone who waits for opportunities to someone who generates them. Abundance is not something you chase, it is something you radiate. The moment you accept yourself as the source, you stop searching outside and begin cultivating within. When you say, "I am rich," you are not merely describing your current financial condition, you are identifying yourself with the creative power that shapes your entire experience. Wealth is not a number, it is a state of being. It expresses itself through confidence, clarity, and inner certainty. When you take on this identity, the world must reflect it back to you. Your beliefs form the foundation upon which all your experiences are built. If you see yourself as lacking, you unconsciously attract situations that confirm that belief. But when you choose to see yourself as the origin of wealth, you call forth opportunities, ideas, and possibilities that align with that understanding. To be the source of abundance means recognizing that everything begins in imagination. Every business, every invention, every fortune began as an idea, and ideas are born within consciousness. When you affirm your richness, you activate this creative faculty. You become more receptive to inspiration. You notice details you once overlooked. You recognize solutions where others see obstacles. Your inner world becomes fertile ground, always producing thought patterns that lead to prosperity. This is why people with the same resources and opportunities often achieve drastically different outcomes. One person looks outward, hoping the world will change. Another turns inward, transforming their self-concept, and the world reorganizes to match it. When you accept yourself as the source, you no longer feel powerless in the face of circumstances. Instead, you understand that circumstances are pliable. They bend to the strength of your belief. They adjust to the vision you maintain. They yield to the assumptions you hold. Feeling yourself as the origin point of financial increase is not about arrogance or force. It is about alignment. It is about embodying the truth that your inner state is the engine of your outer results. You no longer look to a job, a person, or an event as the cause of your prosperity. They may serve as channels, but they are not the source you are. And when you stand firmly in that truth, you release all fear of loss, because what comes from within cannot be taken from you. Imagine for a moment that you are a fountain overflowing with endless wealth. The flow is steady, constant, and abundant. It does not depend on someone turning a valve or granting permission. It emerges naturally because that is its nature. When you internalize this image, you stop worrying about where money will come from and start trusting that it must come, because the source is already active within you. This trust dissolves anxiety, it dissolves scarcity, it clears the very blocks that once delayed your financial expansion. As you walk through your day holding the feeling that abundance originates from you, you will notice subtle changes. Your language shifts, you speak more confidently, more creatively. Your posture changes, you stand taller, more rooted. Your decisions change, you choose from power rather than fear. These inner adjustments send signals into your environment, and everything begins to respond. People treat you differently. Invitations appear out of nowhere. Ideas land with clarity. Your intuition sharpens. Instead of forcing outcomes, you begin to allow them. Recognizing yourself as the source of abundance also means taking full ownership of your life. You no longer blame circumstances, upbringing, or current limitations. You understand that you possess the ability to reshape any pattern, rewrite any story, and redirect any situation by altering your inner assumption. Ownership is not a burden, it is liberation. It means that no one can stop your abundance from flowing except you, and once you release resistance, the flow becomes unstoppable. When you stand in the awareness that you are the source, gratitude naturally arises. You become grateful not only for what you have, but for what you are capable of creating. This gratitude strengthens your identity as a creator, making your affirmations feel even more natural and true. You do not merely say, "I am rich," you feel it, and the feeling is what generates the manifestation. As you continue to embody this truth, your financial life begins to evolve. Opportunities that once seemed distant now feel within reach. Income increases in ways you could not have predicted. You begin receiving ideas that lead to significant breakthroughs. You notice recurring patterns of luck that others describe as coincidence, but you recognize them as the effects of your inner transformation. When you truly understand yourself as the source of abundance, you no longer worry about competition or depletion. There is no shortage when the origin is within you. You do not fear economic changes or external shifts because you are not dependent on them. Your wealth comes from an infinite well that cannot run dry. Every affirmation of richness strengthens this identity. Every moment you return to the feeling of abundance, you reinforce the truth that prosperity is your natural state. And as this truth becomes your foundation, the world must rearrange itself to reflect your inner conviction. Financial increase becomes normal. Opportunities feel inevitable. Wealth flows with ease because you are no longer seeking it. You are generating it. In this awareness, abundance is not something you pursue. It is something you are. Money responds to the way you think, feel, and assume life will unfold. It mirrors your internal expectations long before it shows up in your hands. When you say, "I am abundant," you are not reciting a pleasant sentence. You are issuing a creative command that reorganizes the unseen forces shaping your financial world. Consciousness precedes experience, and your financial reality is always downstream of the state you occupy within yourself. Effort alone cannot override a mind filled with doubt, fear, or unworthiness. You can work long hours, take on multiple responsibilities, or push yourself to exhaustion, yet still feel as if money slips through your fingers. That is because effort cannot compensate for a mindset steeped in scarcity. The internal state always wins. When the dominant feeling is lack, the world will continue to confirm that impression, no matter how hard you try to resist it. But when the dominant feeling is abundance, even small actions produce great returns because your inner world is already aligned with the outcome you desire. To affirm, "I am abundant," is to adopt a new identity, one that rests in the certainty of financial overflow rather than the anxiety of not having enough. It shifts you from striving to receiving, from forcing to allowing. This is not passive, it is powerful. It means you are no longer trying to make wealth happen through sheer willpower. Instead, you are stepping into the state where wealth is natural, expected, and inevitable. This state influences your decisions, your reactions, your creativity, and your intuition. You begin moving with clarity rather than desperation. You recognize opportunities instead of missing them. Your behavior becomes coherent with the life you are calling in. Every belief you hold about money is reflected in your experiences with it. If you believe money is difficult to earn, you will encounter difficulty. If you believe money is scarce, you will constantly feel the threat of running out. If you believe money comes only through struggle, your path will be filled with unnecessary strain. These beliefs are not objective truths. They are mental agreements you have unconsciously accepted. The affirmation, "I am abundant," begins to dissolve these old agreements and replace them with new ones. As the belief changes, the pattern of results transforms. When you internalize abundance, you no longer view money as something outside of you that you must chase. You see it as something drawn to you, by the certainty of your own state. It becomes a reflection rather than a pursuit. Just as a mirror cannot show you an image different from what stands before it, your reality cannot give you something different from the consciousness you hold. This is why abundance must be lived internally first. The inner shift creates the outer expression. Feeling abundant changes the texture of your thoughts. You begin speaking with authority rather than hesitation. You make choices from expansion rather than fear. You stop settling for less because abundance does not accept scraps. You naturally gravitate toward people, ideas, and environments that elevate you. You no longer cling to money. You allow it to circulate, trusting that more flows back to you. This trust is a signal to the world around you, an indication that you are available for greater prosperity. When you change your inner state, you change the way opportunities appear to you. What once felt out of reach now feels familiar. What once intimidated you now feels manageable. You start noticing solutions you previously overlooked because your mind was preoccupied with lack. Abundance sharpens perception. It acts like a lens that highlights possibilities and diminishes limitations. Your creativity becomes more fluid. You begin receiving ideas that lead to growth, expansion, and income. This mental openness is a direct result of living in the state of abundance. Your destiny is shaped by what you continually assume to be true. If you assume money comes easily, life bends to that assumption. If you assume you are supported, circumstances conspire to support you. The affirmation, "I am abundant," is not about convincing yourself. It is about stepping into the state that produces these results effortlessly. Once you feel abundant, once you know abundance as your natural identity, your actions become the physical expression of that inner knowing. You stop making decisions from limitation. You start making decisions from vision. Money responds to clarity. It responds to certainty. It responds to the vibration of someone who already possesses the wealth they desire internally. When your consciousness is aligned with abundance, you are no longer waiting for money to change your state. Your state changes your money. Confidence becomes the new foundation. Ease becomes the new rhythm. Expectation becomes the new normal. And the world reflects this shift with increased financial flow, surprising opportunities, and doors that open without strain. The more deeply you embody abundance, the more naturally money moves toward you. It becomes a companion, not a challenge. It becomes a reflection of who you are, not something you must fight for. This is how belief shapes destiny, by transforming the inner atmosphere from which your entire life emerges. You are abundant now, and as that truth saturates your consciousness, the outer world will rise to meet it. The turning point in anyone's financial story begins with a single realization: worthiness is the foundation upon which all prosperity is built. When you affirm, "I am worthy of unlimited prosperity," you are making a declaration that reshapes your inner identity, dissolves inherited beliefs, and redefines the limits you once placed on yourself. Worthiness is not something earned, it is something recognized. It is the awareness that abundance is already aligned with you, waiting only for your permission to enter. Many people desire wealth, but desire without a sense of worth produces struggle. It creates a push-pull effect. The conscious mind asks for prosperity, while the subconscious mind resists it. That inner conflict becomes the barrier that blocks financial flow. When you affirm your worth with conviction, you are not simply repeating positive words. You are dismantling the silent internal arguments that once told you wealth was for others, never for you. You begin dissolving memories, judgments, and limitations absorbed from childhood, society, or past failures. Each time you declare, "I am worthy," you remove another layer of resistance. Worthiness is the gatekeeper of abundance because it determines what you allow yourself to receive. Without realizing it, people reject opportunities, underestimate their abilities, sabotage financial progress, or hesitate to claim what they truly desire, all because they do not believe they deserve more. But the moment you anchor the belief in your own deservingness, the landscape of your life begins to shift. You stop shrinking. You stop explaining away your dreams. You stop settling for less. You move from hoping for wealth to accepting it as your natural state. As you embody worthiness, your behavior changes effortlessly. You begin making decisions that align with growth rather than fear. You no longer apologize for wanting a better life. You no longer carry guilt about increasing your income or elevating your lifestyle. Worthiness dissolves the invisible ceiling that once hovered above you. You walk differently, speak differently, and perceive opportunities differently because you now view yourself as someone for whom abundance is appropriate, fitting, and expected. When you feel worthy, you no longer chase validation through overwork or people-pleasing. You no longer measure your value by productivity, achievements, or external approval. Instead, you recognize wealth as an extension of your inner wholeness. Prosperity does not come to complete you, it comes to express you. This shift in awareness is powerful. It frees you from comparison and competition, allowing you to create from authenticity rather than insecurity. Affirming worthiness also reshapes how you respond to money itself. Instead of viewing money as scarce or difficult to obtain, you begin to see it as a natural companion in your life. You stop fearing it, resenting it, or placing it on a pedestal. You stop tightening emotionally every time you think about finances. Worthiness softens your relationship with money, turning it into a cooperative, supportive presence rather than a source of stress. As you relax into your deservingness, money flows toward you with greater ease. Unlimited prosperity becomes available when you remove limits from your identity. To affirm, "I am worthy of unlimited prosperity," is to declare that there is no ceiling on what you may receive. It is not arrogance, it is alignment. It is the understanding that the same creative power that brought you into existence did not restrict your potential. Feeling worthy of unlimited prosperity means you no longer fear having more than others, no longer question whether you're capable of managing wealth, and no longer minimize your desires to make others comfortable. You stop shrinking your dreams to match your old identity, and instead expand your identity to match your true potential. As you deepen this sense of worthiness, your imagination begins to work for you rather than against you. You start envisioning a future where abundance is not a distant possibility, but a present truth unfolding. You imagine yourself living in financial ease, enjoying the things you once believed were out of reach, and stepping into roles that previously felt too big for you. These visions are not fantasies, they are invitations. Worthiness gives you the courage to accept those invitations with confidence. Every moment you affirm your worth, you establish a new self-concept, one that rejects scarcity and embraces abundance. You become someone who expects good fortune, who anticipates financial blessings, who trusts the unfolding of wealth. Worthiness changes your emotional state. You feel lighter, freer, more expansive. In this state, prosperity flows in ways both expected and unexpected because you no longer repel it with doubt or self-judgment. You are no longer working against yourself. This is why worthiness is the catalyst. It opens the gate wide, releasing prosperity to rush in. It restores internal alignment so that your desires, beliefs, and expectations move in the same direction. When you believe you are worthy, you allow money to come easily. You allow opportunities to reveal themselves. You allow success to feel natural and deserved. You accept abundance without hesitation, without guilt, and without fear. Affirm it with depth. Affirm it with feeling. Affirm it until your inner world accepts it as truth. I am worthy of unlimited prosperity. When this becomes your core identity, wealth cannot stay away from you. It must flow to you because you have become the open door through which abundance passes freely. Opportunities are not rare, nor are they reserved for a select few. They exist in every corner of your reality, waiting for the moment you become aware enough to perceive them. The affirmation, "I am surrounded by opportunities," is not merely a positive phrase. It is a shift in consciousness that transforms the way you interpret the world around you. When you declare these words, you are instructing your mind to awaken from habitual limitation and open itself to a wider field of possibilities, breakthroughs, and pathways that were previously overlooked. Most people move through life seeing only what their beliefs allow. If the inner assumption is that opportunities are scarce, difficult to find, or only granted to others, then the mind filters reality through that belief. Even when a door appears, it goes unnoticed. But the moment you align with the truth that opportunities are abundant and constantly emerging, your internal lens widens. You begin to detect subtle openings that once blended into the background of your day. A conversation that seemed casual suddenly reveals a promising direction. A challenge that felt discouraging transforms into a catalyst for growth. A delay becomes a redirection. Once you shift your perception, the world reveals itself as rich with possibility. Affirming, "I am surrounded by opportunities," does more than change thought patterns. It reorganizes your emotional state. You begin moving through your day with expectancy, curiosity, and confidence. This emotional posture is magnetic. It draws to you situations, people, and ideas that align with your expanded awareness. The universe reflects your readiness. The more open you are to discovering new possibilities, the more they seem to appear. This is not coincidence. It is the natural response of a mind tuned to abundance rather than limitation. Opportunities are rarely loud or dramatic. They seldom announce themselves with flashing signs or unmistakable clarity. More often, they appear as subtle nudges, an idea that sparks in the quiet of a morning, an invitation that feels insignificant at first, a sense of being pulled towards something unfamiliar, a problem that invites a creative solution. When your consciousness is aligned with opportunity, you recognize these gentle signals as the beginnings of expansion. You trust your intuitive impulses, not because they guarantee certainty, but because your inner state is oriented toward growth. The affirmation also trains your mind to see opportunities where others see obstacles. Every setback carries within it the seed of a new direction. Every closed door points you toward a better one. When you believe that opportunities are constantly forming, you stop interpreting challenges as dead ends. Instead, you consider them transitions, bridges to something greater. This perspective alone is transformative. It eliminates fear, reduces hesitation, and empowers you to take steps that others might avoid. You begin moving with a sense of inner assurance, knowing that life is working in your favor, even when the path is unclear. Living with the awareness that you are surrounded by opportunities loosens the grip of doubt. You stop worrying about missed chances because you understand there is no shortage. Life does not provide only one moment to succeed. It provides an ongoing stream of possibilities. You operate from abundance rather than urgency. You start trusting the timing of your journey. You stop comparing yourself to others because your opportunities are tailored to your own path, your own growth, your own unfolding. As you continue affirming this truth, your daily behavior shifts naturally. You become more observant, more receptive, more willing to explore. You listen more intently to what people say, noticing insights hidden in casual remarks. You take initiative more often, sensing when to act without overthinking. You become more adaptable, flowing with the movement of life rather than resisting it. This internal transformation changes your external outcomes. What once felt out of reach begins to feel inevitable. The affirmation also deepens your connection to intuition. Opportunities rarely appear in logical sequence. They arise from synchronicity. A chance meeting, a sudden idea, a moment of clarity, a situation aligning unexpectedly. This is how life communicates when you are tuned to receive. By consistently affirming that opportunities surround you, you strengthen your intuitive sensitivity. You notice signs earlier. You feel inner prompts more clearly. You trust the quiet knowing that guides you toward the next step. Ultimately, to say, "I am surrounded by opportunities," is to declare that your world is abundant, supportive, and alive with potential. It means you no longer wait for something external to rescue you or propel you forward. You recognize that life is constantly offering openings for expansion, and your only task is to perceive them and respond. This affirmation shifts your identity from someone who searches desperately for a breakthrough to someone who expects breakthroughs as a natural part of existence. When this truth becomes your inner state, your life changes. You stop chasing, you start discovering, you stop fearing lack, you start embracing possibility. And most importantly, you begin realizing that opportunities are not something outside of you. They are reflections of the abundance you hold within. Every day becomes fertile ground for advancement. Every moment carries the potential to move you forward. When you live with this awareness, opportunity ceases to be something you hope for and becomes something you constantly experience. Gratitude is the quiet force that turns the unseen into the seen, the intangible into the tangible, the imagined into the experienced. When you declare that you are grateful for the wealth already within you, you are not pretending something into existence. You are recognizing the truth of what has always been there. Wealth is not only measured in currency, it begins as energy, creativity, insight, confidence, desire, and vision. These inner resources are the seeds from which material prosperity grows. When you acknowledge them with genuine appreciation, you give life to these seeds and allow them to flourish in your external world. Most people wait to feel grateful until money arrives, but that is backwards. Gratitude is the catalyst. It is the spark that initiates the process of increase. When you feel grateful now, before the manifestation appears, you align yourself with the reality where abundance is natural, expected, and effortless. You shift your emotional and mental state from lack to fullness, from wanting to having, from scarcity to sufficiency. This inner shift is what draws more wealth to you, because your outer world is always a reflection of your inner atmosphere. Gratitude stabilizes your mind in the awareness of abundance, and that awareness becomes the blueprint for the experiences that follow. Think for a moment about the wealth that already exists within you. Your imagination is a powerful instrument. It allows you to conceive ideas that can transform your financial life. Every invention, every business, every breakthrough began as a spark in someone's mind. Your imagination is no different. When you feel grateful for it, you energize it. You give it permission to show you new paths, unexpected solutions, and creative opportunities. Gratitude turns your imagination into a loyal ally rather than an underused tool. It becomes a living stream of inspiration that guides you toward prosperity. Consider your skills and abilities, the talents you have developed over time, the knowledge you carry, the experiences that have shaped you. These are forms of wealth that many overlook. They are assets with potential to produce income, open doors, and elevate your life. When you express gratitude for your skills, you activate them. You remind yourself of your capability, your resourcefulness, and your growing value in the world. That sense of appreciation expands your confidence, and confidence is magnetic. It attracts partnerships, opportunities, recognition, and success. Confidence grounded in gratitude carries a quiet, powerful certainty that others feel and respond to. Your spirit, your inner resilience, your capacity to endure challenges and rise again. This is also wealth. Often, the greatest abundance emerges from moments when you discover what you are truly made of. When you feel grateful for your strength, your intuition, your clarity, you amplify them. Gratitude nourishes your inner power, making you more attuned to guidance, more aligned with your purpose, and more open to receiving the prosperity that matches your identity. Gratitude turns adversity into wisdom, and wisdom into prosperity. Gratitude is not passive, it is creative. It is not merely a pleasant emotion, it is a transformative force. When you practice gratitude for the wealth already within you, you are effectively declaring, I already possess everything required to create the financial life I desire. This declaration is profound because it shifts you from looking outward to looking inward. It dissolves dependency on circumstances and replaces it with reliance on your own inner richness. When you stop waiting for external validation and start nurturing internal abundance, you reclaim your power as the creator of your life. Gratitude also heightens your awareness of opportunities. What once seemed ordinary becomes valuable. What once went unnoticed becomes a pathway to increase. When you live in a state of grateful abundance, you attract ideas, people, and situations that match your elevated vibration. The world becomes generous because you have become generous in your perception. This does not happen through effort or strain. It happens naturally when gratitude becomes your state of being. Another profound aspect of gratitude is that it dissolves fear. Scarcity thinking breeds anxiety, doubt, and hesitation. Gratitude neutralizes those emotions by shifting your focus to what is already working, already present, already growing. Fear cannot coexist with genuine appreciation. When fear dissolves, you become more willing to take inspired action, to trust your intuition, and to step into new opportunities without hesitation. This combination of clarity and courage is a powerful generator of wealth. As you cultivate gratitude daily, you begin to feel rich long before money arrives. You feel complete, capable, and full. And because your outer world mirrors your inner world, this feeling becomes the foundation upon which material wealth manifests. You receive more because you are no longer vibrating at the level of needing or lacking. You are vibrating at the level of having. Gratitude is the language of having, and the universe responds accordingly. So speak your gratitude aloud, feel it deeply. Acknowledge the wealth within your ideas, imagination, abilities, and spirit. Let that appreciation flow through your entire being. As you do, you activate a natural law: gratitude multiplies. What you appreciate appreciates. What you recognize expands. What you celebrate accelerates. And the wealth within you, once acknowledged, begins to express itself in your external world in ways that are undeniable, abundant, and beautifully aligned with your destiny. When you affirm that you are a magnet for prosperity, you are not simply repeating a pleasant phrase, you are declaring a shift in your inner identity. This shift is what alters the trajectory of your financial life. A magnet does not chase, negotiate, strain, or beg for what it attracts. It draws effortlessly, with certainty, because attraction is its nature. When you embody the belief that prosperity is drawn to you, you step into a state where wealth is not something you pursue, but something that naturally flows into your orbit. To become a magnet for prosperity, you first recognize the truth that your inner state sets the tone for every outcome in your external world. People often believe that money responds to action alone, but it responds far more powerfully to conviction. Prosperity gravitates toward the individual who carries a calm inner certainty that abundance belongs to them. This certainty removes the friction that most people unknowingly place between themselves and the wealth they desire. When doubt, fear, or feelings of unworthiness dominate the mind, they act like opposing magnetic forces, repelling the very financial opportunities one seeks. But when confidence, clarity, and self-assurance dominate, they strengthen the magnetic pull that draws wealth nearer. As you affirm, "I am a magnet for wealth," you are strengthening this inner force. You are telling your subconscious that your nature is to receive, not to struggle. Your subconscious mind accepts whatever identity you repeatedly present to it. Over time, this affirmation transforms how you think, how you feel, how you speak, and even how you behave. You begin to make choices that align with prosperity. You begin to take actions inspired by possibility rather than fear. You begin to sense opportunities that others overlook. And most importantly, you stop resisting abundance with old limiting patterns that once held you back. A magnet works without strain, and so must you. Prosperity comes most quickly to those who do not suffocate it with desperation. Desperation signals lack, and lack pushes abundance away. Certainty signals fullness, and fullness draws abundance closer. When you move through the world with a quiet, unwavering confidence that money, resources, and success respond to your inner state, you naturally embody the person who receives. You stand straighter. You speak with clarity. You hold your vision without wavering. You operate with intention rather than anxiety. These subtle shifts change how people perceive you, how opportunities approach you, and how circumstances unfold around you. As your magnetic identity strengthens, you begin to realize that everything around you is simply reflecting who you believe yourself to be. If you believe you are someone who receives easily, life will give to you easily. If you believe you are someone who struggles, life will present you with more struggle. The magnet does not have to scream, announce, or prove itself. Its power lies in its nature. Your affirmation is training you to embody a nature that resonates with prosperity. It is teaching you to become the kind of person to whom wealth naturally gravitates. Being a magnet for prosperity also means becoming emotionally aligned with abundance. This emotional alignment is not achieved through force but through acceptance. You begin to accept abundance as normal, not extraordinary. You stop viewing wealth as something rare or difficult to attain. You stop placing it on a distant pedestal. You bring it into your present identity. You integrate it into your self-concept. When wealth becomes emotionally familiar, it loses its ability to intimidate or overwhelm you. Instead, it becomes something you expect, something you welcome, something you are ready to receive. You also develop a more refined sensitivity to ideas and opportunities. Prosperity often arrives subtly, disguised as inspiration, a conversation, a chance encounter, or a new thought. The magnetized mind recognizes these moments instantly. It does not dismiss them or question its worthiness. It engages, it responds, it allows. Prosperity flows to the individual who accepts its arrival without hesitation. This readiness amplifies the magnetic pull. As you strengthen this identity, you may begin noticing external confirmations. Money may arrive through unexpected channels. People may offer help, collaboration, or opportunities that seem perfectly aligned. Expenses may decrease, resources may appear, and situations may resolve themselves in your favor. These are reflections of the internal shift already in motion. The world is reorganizing around your new identity, shaping itself to match the frequency you now carry. To remain a magnet for prosperity, continue nurturing the inner certainty that abundance is drawn to you. Stand firmly in the awareness that prosperity seeks you as much as you seek it. Let your thoughts, emotions, and actions align with this truth. When you walk through your day carrying the identity of someone who naturally attracts wealth, you reshape every encounter, every decision, and every outcome. Prosperity cannot help but respond. It gravitates toward the one who knows it is theirs by nature, not by effort. When you become the magnet, wealth becomes the inevitable result. Openness is the quiet yet powerful signal that invites abundance to move freely toward you. When you declare that you are open to receiving money in both expected and unexpected ways, you are doing more than reciting a phrase. You are dissolving invisible walls that once blocked the flow of prosperity. Most people restrict wealth without realizing it because they believe money can only arrive through certain channels: a job, a business, a single opportunity. But the moment you affirm openness, you release those limitations. You acknowledge that the universe has infinitely more pathways than your logical mind can imagine. You step out of the rigid structure of how you think wealth should come, and you enter the boundless reality of how it can come. Openness shifts your energy. It softens the internal tension that often forms when you try to control outcomes. Instead of gripping tightly to one possibility, you allow countless possibilities to unfold. This shift is not passive, it is deeply active on the level of consciousness. When you state, "I am open to receiving money," you are instructing your inner world to expand its receptivity. You are inviting intuitive nudges, inner guidance, and subtle impulses that lead you toward opportunities you previously overlooked. Wealth begins to take on a fluid quality, moving toward you through conversations, ideas, invitations, timing, synchronicities, and unexpected blessings. When you embrace openness, you start noticing things you never paid attention to before. A simple conversation may carry the seed of a profitable idea. A small task may lead to an unexpected offer. A chance encounter could connect you to someone who unlocks a new financial path. What once seemed random now becomes purposeful because you have aligned your inner state with receptivity. Doors that were always there suddenly appear, Illuminated by your heightened awareness, your consciousness becomes a magnet for possibilities, drawing in circumstances that match your expanded belief in what is possible. Unexpected money often arrives in ways that defy logic. It may come suddenly, quietly, or dramatically. A long-forgotten investment might mature. Someone may repay a debt you had written off. A bonus, refund, or surprise payment may appear without warning. A new contract opportunity or breakthrough may fall into your lap at the perfect moment. These are not coincidences, they are reflections of your openness. When the inner state shifts, the outer world must follow. You have allowed financial blessings to reach you without obstruction. Openness also transforms your emotional relationship with money. Instead of feeling anxious or doubtful about how abundance will show up, you begin to trust the flow. You no longer force outcomes or chase possibilities. You allow them to emerge naturally. This trust creates a state of calm confidence. You stop questioning whether you are supported and start knowing that you are. With this knowing, you become a powerful recipient of wealth. Your emotional frequency rises, and wealth responds to that elevated state. Being open to unexpected money also means releasing the belief that wealth must be hard-earned or slow. Many people unconsciously resist financial blessings because they believe they must suffer, struggle, or sacrifice to deserve them. But openness dissolves those beliefs. It invites ease. It allows money to come not only through effort, but also through grace. You open yourself to the idea that wealth can arrive quickly, harmoniously, and joyfully. You allow abundance to surprise you. This openness is not wishful thinking. It is a deliberate shift in identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who naturally receives money. You adopt the mindset of a person who is constantly being supported, supplied, and guided. The world responds to the identity you claim. When you embody openness, life mirrors that openness with generosity. Every day presents new channels through which prosperity can appear, but only the receptive mind recognizes them. The closed mind insists that money must come the same old way. The open mind welcomes new avenues, new ideas, new timing, and new forms. Openness is the gateway to abundance because it removes the constraints of expectation. Life becomes larger than your plans. Wealth becomes bigger than your strategies. Creativity replaces limitation. As you live in this expanded state, unexpected income becomes normal. You begin to expect the unexpected, not from desperation, but from confidence. You know that you are connected to an unfailing source of supply, and that supply expresses itself through countless forms. This mindset turns everyday life into a field of opportunity. Everywhere you go, you carry the awareness that something good can reach you at any moment. Declare that you are open to receiving money in expected and unexpected ways, and let the words become a living truth within you. Speak them with conviction until they reshape your inner landscape. Feel the release of letting go. Feel the expansion of welcoming abundance. Feel the joy of knowing that you are ready, worthy, and receptive. The moment you embrace openness, the universe begins orchestrating events that align with your new state. Allow yourself to receive. Allow yourself to be surprised. Allow wealth to reach you in ways you have never imagined. I am already living in the reality of wealth is more than an affirmation. It is a complete shift in identity. It is the moment you stop waiting for money to arrive and begin embodying the person who already has it. This shift is subtle, yet it is the single most powerful transformation you can make. You are no longer someone striving for prosperity. You become prosperity itself. You release the tension of pursuit and step into the ease of ownership. The world responds to who you are, not to what you need. And when you live from the reality of wealth, life conforms to your inner decision. To live in the reality of wealth, you must imagine the end as if it is happening now. Feel the comfort of financial safety. Feel the satisfaction of bills paid with ease, the peace of having more than enough, the freedom of choosing what you desire without hesitation. These feelings are not fantasies. They are formative states. They are the creative blueprint that shapes your external world. Your financial life begins to reorganize around the emotional tone you hold. When you feel rich, you think differently. When you think differently, you act differently. When you act differently, your results transform. Living from wealth is not about pretending, it is about choosing your internal state deliberately. You no longer measure your circumstances to determine how to feel. Instead, your feelings determine how your circumstances evolve. You become the cause, not the effect. When you say, "I am rich now," you are planting a seed in consciousness that contains the entire harvest within it. Every thought, every reaction, every assumption begins to align with that seed. You walk through your day with an inner confidence that cannot be faked because it is rooted in your true identity. Begin to observe how a wealthy version of you thinks. How would this version respond to a challenge? How would this version speak, breathe, move, decide? Would this version worry about outcomes, or would they trust their own power to create solutions? When you live from wealth, you dissolve fear because fear cannot exist in a mind that already possesses what it desires. You allow yourself to relax into abundance. You stop rehearsing struggles and start rehearsing fulfillment. As you move into this new inner state, you will notice that your reactions become quieter, steadier, and more intentional. What once triggered scarcity-based thinking no longer commands your attention. You stop giving so much emotional energy to how things will happen and shift your focus entirely to, oh, you are being. The wealthy identity does not chase opportunities, it attracts them. It does not operate from desperation, it radiates certainty. It does not beg for financial miracles, it expects them as a natural outflow of its state. To live from the reality of wealth is also to release the timeline. You stop asking when money will come because you already feel its presence. You stop questioning the process because you have already accepted the outcome. Time becomes irrelevant. You no longer speak from lack or anticipation because you are standing in the final scene of your desire. You are experiencing the emotion you would feel if everything you wanted were already yours. That feeling is the creative command, and once it is impressed upon the mind, outer events must echo it. This inner shift naturally creates new behaviors. You begin to make decisions from confidence rather than fear. You take actions that align with expansion rather than contraction. You become more selective with your thoughts, choosing only those that reinforce your identity of abundance. You speak in ways that reflect certainty. You treat yourself as someone whose financial destiny is secure. Every aspect of your life begins to reflect this elevated standard. Imagine going through your day with the calm assurance of someone who has already succeeded. You feel grounded, capable, and supported. You trust that every resource you need will show up at the perfect time. You no longer interpret temporary circumstances as final. You know that wealth is unfolding from within you. With this level of inner stability, you become immovable in your belief, and it is this immovable confidence that attracts the physical evidence you seek. Living from the end dissolves resistance. Resistance only exists when you see your desire as separate from you. But the moment you claim it as your identity, the struggle evaporates. There is no more longing, no more hoping, only knowing. And this knowing becomes the atmosphere in which your life reorganizes. Opportunities begin appearing without effort. New connections form. Ideas arise that move you forward. Solutions come easily. Life starts aligning with your internal wealth in ways that often feel miraculous. The more consistently you live from the end, the faster your reality transforms. Wealth becomes your emotional home, not a distant dream. You no longer visit abundance, you inhabit it. You carry it into every room, every decision, every moment. You awaken each day with a sense of completion, not craving. You fall asleep in the feeling of fulfillment, not waiting. And because you remain faithful to the inner state, the outer world must eventually mirror it. When you dwell in the reality of wealth, you are not creating money, you are revealing it. You are peeling away every belief that once blocked your prosperity and stepping into the truth that abundance has always been available to you. Wealth becomes your natural expression because you are no longer fighting against it. You are allowing it. And what you allow consistently must appear. Living from the end is the ultimate declaration of power. You become the author of your financial reality. And once you claim that power, the riches you seek no longer feel distant. They feel inevitable. Repeat these affirmations daily, not as wishes but as declarations of identity. The moment you feel them as true, your world begins to reorganize itself around your new self-concept. You are rich. You are abundant. You are prosperity in motion. Your wealth is not coming. It is already here.